Let me start by saying this is more of a rant than anything else. I'm 31 years old, and for the past 19 years, I've had no contact whatsoever with my parents. No birthdays, no holidays, not even a random text message. It's not because of a simple falling out or some petty disagreement. It's because they are genuinely awful people. My parents were physically, emotionally, and mentally abusive to all of their kids, including me. They weren't just bad, they were toxic. So when I walked out of that house in 2005, I knew I was done for good. I didn't look back, and I've had no interest in seeing or speaking to them ever since. In my heart of hearts, I believe they're both mentally ill. They've cut off contact with almost every family member, holding on to grudges for all kinds of bizarre reasons. Family events? Forget it. They don't show up because they've burned bridges with nearly everyone. My own mom hasn't spoken to her parents in over 2 decades. It's like a family curse that just keeps spiraling down. When I finally left home, my parents didn't take it well. As the oldest of 5 kids, I was always the one tasked with taking care of the others. From a young age, I was practically the stand-in parent. On top of that, I had to work for my mom's illegal business and hold down a second job while maintaining good grades in school. My dad wasn't home Monday through Friday, and my mom would usually disappear too. So I did it all. Cooking, cleaning, helping with homework, bathing the younger ones, and everything in between. I was the glue holding that household together. When I left, they lost the person who kept everything from falling apart, and they were furious. Their reaction to my departure? A series of nasty, underhanded moves. I moved 600 miles away to a new city 2 days after graduating from high school. I took a Greyhound bus in the middle of the week, so they couldn't figure out where I went. They tried to call the police, but since they didn't know which department to contact, it didn't work. I stayed with a friend until I turned 18 and then let them know I was safe. They were more concerned about who would take care of their kids now that I was gone. They even tried to get the police in my new city to force me to come home. That didn't work either. Since they wouldn't fill out the financial aid forms for college, I had to pay out of pocket until I was 24 years old. The state doesn't consider you independent unless you can prove legal emancipation, which I couldn't. It made my life a lot harder than it needed to be. They opened 2 credit cards and 2 utility bills in my name, ran them up, and left them unpaid. This tanked my credit score, and I had to pay over $10,000 in bills, late fees, and penalties to clean up the mess. They claimed me as a dependent on their taxes until I was 22. I had to hire a tax attorney and CPA to prove to the IRS that they didn't support me in any way. I had to show bank statements, my own utility bills, and W-2s to prove my case. The day I won and they notified my dad that he'd have to pay back the money he received for claiming me, he called me, screaming that he hated me and wished they'd aborted me when they found out they were pregnant with me. They banned me from contacting my younger siblings, which was the cruelest thing they could have done. The few times my siblings managed to sneak away and call me, they begged me to come home. It broke my heart, and I'd end up crying for days afterward. Fast forward to today, and 2 of my siblings are now grown up. We've managed to rebuild our relationship, and my sister and I talk every day. She's gone no contact with our parents as well, so we have that in common. My brother, on the other hand, still has a very low contact relationship with them. He's not as close to me anymore, and our conversations are guarded. He once told me that he felt like I abandoned him, and that stung. So now, I'm just trying to take it one step at a time, hoping to rebuild that bridge. A few years and a lot of therapy later, I met the man of my dreams. We've been together for 5 years now, engaged for 1 and married for 2. We've worked hard to build a life together. We both finished school, bought a small farm, and opened a small business that's been doing extremely well for the past 5 years. We're deeply involved in our community, volunteering at local animal shelters and working with the Chamber of Commerce and the Better Business Bureau. And the best news? We're expecting our first child, a daughter who's due around Halloween. We're absolutely over the moon about it. Yesterday, though, my sister called me and she was extremely upset. Apparently, our dad had called her workplace out of the blue during her lunch break. He angrily demanded to know if it was true that I was pregnant. She confirmed that yes, I am indeed pregnant. That's when he launched into a 5-minute tirade about how I would be an unfit parent. He went on and on about how he was going to hire a good attorney to establish grandparents' rights so he could gain custody of the child that's currently growing inside me. Let that sink in. A man who was never home to take care of his own kids now wants to take mine. After his rant, he hung up on my sister. She was worried that she'd done something wrong by telling him. The thing is, anyone could find out I'm pregnant. It's not exactly a secret. It's on my social media, and at 8 months along, it's pretty obvious to anyone who meets me. I'm not hiding anything from my parents. I'm proud of the family I'm building, and I'm not going to let them take that from me. Am I worried about their threats? Not really. We have a great lawyer, and we've already established wills to ensure that if anything happens to me, they have no way of gaining visitation rights. What I am is pissed off. The nerve of this man. After more than a decade of no contact, after all the beatings and degrading things he and my mom put me through as a kid and adolescent, he thinks he can just waltz back into my life and take control. There's one small silver lining in all of this. My dad doesn't know that I'm married. He's under the impression that I'm a single mom, which he thinks will make it easier for him to take my baby away. Little does he know that my in-laws are amazing and a force to be reckoned with. They've been incredibly supportive throughout this whole ordeal, and I know they'd go to bat for me if it ever came to that. So that's where I'm at. 6 weeks away from welcoming my daughter into the world, and my estranged father is trying to assert control over my life again. It's infuriating, but I'm not going to let it ruin this special time for me. My husband and I are focused on the future, on building a happy, loving home for our little girl.